guys, Acto here, and welcome to Polymodule. The This is what the module will look like. It's very simple, just 6 black buttons in this triangle shape with a number on them. However, the description of this module is quite difficult to explain, since, as you can see by this flavor text, the module changes every single day. However, there are some things that stay consistent. As far as I know, there will always be 15 rules here. If duplicate numbers appear, you're always adding 1 to the highest initial value, the initial value being the numbers on the buttons. The thing to know about this tie thing, if like you had 2 ties, like 3, 3, 2, 2, you would, like, this corresponding to these numbers currently, and then something and something that aren't the same. Even though these are 2 separate ties, anything that is tied is considered in the same bracket, basically. So in this case, to solve these ties, you would prioritise the 6 here and make this 3. Then you would prioritise, so this one is fine now. Then you would prioritise these ones, and you prioritise the 6 again. And then assuming that one of these isn't 4, let's assume that none of these will get hit by these ones. And then we will go to here, and now 5 is higher than 2, so then we would increase this one. Then we have 4 and 4 are tied again. 6 is higher than 5, so we increase it, and that's how you solve the ties. Just felt I should say that just because the tie thing might get confusing if there's more than one tie, but just anything that is tied is considered the same, basically. Considered at the same time, I mean. So, before we get into solving this particular one, I shall say that something that does change is the requirement. For today's one, 22nd, we need to tap all the buttons in ascending order, according to their final values. But we'd look at yesterday's one, we had to press the highest value, and the last digit of the timer is the same for the highest final value, so the last digit of time is the same, this is the last digit of the highest final value. Then just the highest final value, no time conditions, then ascending order again, and so on. Highest value, and so on and so forth. Anyway, coming back to today's one. Let's now get into solving this one, and then afterwards I will show the one I did in Decameo, I think on the 19th, as another example, because, well, it's another example that was on a different day, just to show a different set of rules. Might be a bit of a faff to get it up, but I'll give it a shot. So, let's note down these numbers, 5, 2, 0, 6, 7, 1, and let's go through each of these rules. First rule, square each value, easy enough. 25, 4, 0, 36, 49, and 1. Step 2, replace the highest value. Highest value in this case refers to the current value, with its initial value, the one on the bottom. Of course, the highest number will come from the highest number that was here, given we just squared everything. So the highest value is the 49 here, so that becomes 7 again. Add the number of submodules to each value. You don't have any. This rule actually appears again down here, so we won't do anything here either. But of course, your submodules will be adding the amount of submodules, so to solve this, you probably want an amount of submodules at a rough time, as we'll see with this next one. Add the number of minutes left to the lowest and highest values. So you want to have an idea of when you're solving it and how many modules have been solved before it, so you can get a solution for when you're doing it. So, add the number of submodules, you don't have any, and the number of minutes left to the lowest and highest values. Because I'm going to be yapping a bit trying to explain this, let's go for 106 as our target time. And we're only adding it to the lowest and highest current values, which of course is 0, so that's 106, and sorry that is 106, and then we have 36 as the highest out of everything that was there. So plus 106 gives us 142. So we've done that. Replace the highest value with initial value again. So the highest value with initial value is this one we just added the number to, so it becomes 6 again. This is an interesting one. Take each value module 6 plus 1, then add the position of the serial character corresponding to that value. That's the serial number up here. The position of this letter, add the numeric position. So this might be slightly confusing to begin with, but this means we take our number, so 25 mod 6 plus 1, and this will point towards one of the characters of the serial number. In this case, the second one, W, which is 23 out of alphanumerically. So then we take 25 and add 23 to it. 48. 48. 48. And then we just do this for each of them. So 4 mod 6 plus 1 is 5. The fifth one is B. B is 2. So from 6. 106 is 5. Which is the same as the previous one, right? Yeah. So 106 is 5 as well, so B, so 2, 8. 6, mod 6 plus 1 is going to be 1, so F, which is 6, so 12. 7 mod 6 plus 1 is 2, W, so 23, so 30. And then 1 mod 6 plus 1 is, of course, 2 as well, so adding 23 to this gives 24. So that's this one. And then we're going to now square each of these values again. So these numbers are going to get quite big quite fast. Because if you've been observant at the moment, there are a few more of those square each value further down as well. 36. 108 goes to this. 12. 444. 30 becomes 900. And 24 becomes that. Done that. Undo last operation done to the highest value. No adding ones because duplicates do not count as operations. So adding ones, you don't just reverse the adding ones. That is not the operation. It was the previous one, which is square each value. So the highest one we got ended up being this one. So we just send it back to what it was, 108. Take the square root of each value. So this is actually quite funny with this one, square and then take the square root, because for most of these we can just put them back to what they were beforehand. 6, 12, 30, 24. However, 108 had already been square rooted, so then we had to square root it again. So this becomes 10. Still haven't hit any duplicates yet. And this is round down, we just truncate all the decimals. And then we're going to square each value again, so basically going back again. But since that was 10, this becomes 100. As you can see there. Add the number of sub-modules to each value, we still don't have any. If any value is less than or equal to the number of sub-modules solved, no amount of modules solved would be less than none. But if they were, we would add 20 to that value. Similarly, if any value was less than 10 at this point, we'd also add 20 to it, which they're not. And now we're going to square each value again. So we get yep 36 comes 100 becomes that 144 becomes that. That becomes... Actually, since that one is the highest one we had previously, I think. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. No, it wasn't. Was it not? It very clearly wasn't. So 81 to 0 to 0, and then that 831776, and then the last rule here: replace the highest value with the average of all other values. Round down if necessary. So the highest value is this one by a long shot. So adding the other values. And then take the average. There were 5 values there. So this is the average. So that becomes that. And now we've gone through all the rules. Now we have to figure out what each of these are in ascending order. So in this case that would be, this corresponds to the bonds in there, that would be 2, 0, 6, 5, 1, 7, I think. Time subtract 30 seconds. Oh, let's go 45 seconds. So hopefully, if we've done this right, if we press these in the order we said, we get our module. So that is an example of Polymodule. Now I'm going to quickly get my channel up. Let's go star map to get to my channel. There you go, I got a new subscriber I was doing this. There's this one, and we go to where Polymodule is. That was it after angles? Yes. There. I did it a second time because okay, so the text might not be easy to see here. Can I improve it? A little bit. I'll explain what you can see here. So we're using the rules from the 19th, and these were the numbers we had. So you can see here, if any value that is not the lowest is a multiple of the lowest value, multiply that way by 2. So that's the first one we would have done, and in fact the lowest value is 1 here. So in fact everything is a multiple of 1. So we will multiply these 5 by 2. We then have this rule: take each value's prime factors, sum them up, and replace the values to the sum. So after we doubled these, we would have gotten. So we had 1, and then we would have 14, 18, 10, 6, and 12. Let's see if I had that. There. And then you have 14, 18, 10, 6, 12. And then we have take the value of prime factors. Note that 1 does not have any prime factors, so if you have a 1 at this point, that becomes 0. Then the prime factors here, 14 is 2 times 7, sum being 9. 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So yeah, if you end up with numbers which have multiple the same prime factors, you sum all of them up. So say if you had 32, that would be 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16 times 2, 32, and then adding these all up, you would end up getting 4, 6, 8, 10. So 32 will become 10. Okay, any more here? That's similar to what we had before, but the number of minutes left is less than the sum of all values. So you take the sum of all values. If the minutes left is less than that, you add 10 to the lowest value. If it's not, you add 30 to the lowest value. You add 30 to the lowest value instead. So either way, the lowest value is going to change here. Depends on what the minutes left is compared to your sum. I think in this case it was add 30 because it had like 100. You can see about 119 minutes, which would have been ran there when I solved it. We have square roots again. We didn't have add the initial value for these ones. That just means take the value on bar and add it to your current values. Any other ones here I need to explain? There's a nice little reference to the collapse conjecture here. If the value is even divided by 2, if it's odd, multiply by 3 and add 1. So that's a nice little funny rule there. Not much else to explain there, but we see we have the same. Any value is not the lowest. At this point, I think I had very different numbers, and none of them actually were. So yeah. Anyway, that was Polymodule, and let's see if I can find any other rules, and we haven't had either of them. Doesn't seem like there will be many. Yeah, I don't think I can see any. Actually, there's this one. Swap the values between the lowest and the highest. That just means swap the lowest and the highest numbers, basically. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else. Here's the rules that I was using in that one. Swap the values between the lowest and highest. Yeah, I don't think there's actually any other ones need to go through. So that was Polymodule. Hopefully you understand how the mod works now, or at least how it works for a certain example. And you have a big idea of how each of the rules will work in conjunction with each other. So hopefully you understand how the module works now, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. I'll see you later.